Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel English Language and Literature, and I'm back with another video lesson for our new series O-Level English Literature Poetry Corner. So this time I'm going to walk you through the Ode to the Evening Star, written by William Blake. So without further ado, let's get things started. Before we jump right into the analysis, let me tell you a few things about our poet, William Blake. William Blake is considered a romantic poet. The word romantic is used to describe a poetic tradition that appeared in the 18th century in England. Romantic poets wrote a lot about the bond between nature and man. Similarly, we have William Blake writing about nature in this ode as well. Basically, he is writing about the evening star. Now, William Blake was born in London in 1757 to a middle-class family, and many members of his family were artists. So, little Blake had a wide exposure to arts and literature from a very young age. He was not only a writer, he was also an engraver, a painter, and even a printmaker. So, we can call him a very versatile person. Versatile here means that you have the ability to do many things, not just one. In the early 21st century, Blake was regarded as the earliest and most original of the Romantic poets. But unfortunately, in his own lifetime, he was neglected and even dismissed as a madman. Blake died in London in 1827 at the age of 69. Once again, we are looking at a poem written by a man who had a brilliant imagination and creativity. Now let's look at the ode. You may have noticed that I kept referring to this poem as an ode. By now you know that there are various types or genres of poems, right? And one such genre is ode, or one such type is ode. An ode is a poem which addresses someone or something. It basically glorifies or praises the person or thing written about. In this case, we have Blake addressing and praising the evening star. So that's why we call it an ode. Okay, now that we got that out of our way, we will begin to analyze the poem or the ode. First, let's read it together, shall we? Okay, here we go. To the evening star. Thou fair-haired angel of the evening, now whilst the sun rests on the mountains, light thy bright torch of love, thy radiant crown put on, and smile upon our evening bed. Smile on our loves, and while thou drawest the blue curtains of the sky, scatter thy silver dew dusk on every flower that shut its sweet eyes in timely sleep. Let thy west wind sleep on the lake. Speak silence with thy glimmering eyes, and wash the dusk with silver. Soon, full soon, dost thou withdraw. Then the wolf rages wide, and then the lion glares through the dun forest. The fleeces of our flock are covered with thy sacred dew. Protect them with thine influence. Now, let's take a look at the first 4 lines, shall we? The poem begins with the poet calling someone a fair-haired angel. Now, who is this fair-haired angel? Who is he addressing? He's addressing the evening star. Can you guess which technique he has used when he uses the phrase fair-haired angel to describe the evening star? That's right, it's personification. He basically glorifies the star by personifying it and giving it a quality of an angel or even a goddess. Interestingly, the evening star is also called Venus. Venus is a planet, and also Venus is the Roman goddess of love, beauty, and fertility. So basically, the evening star or Venus symbolizes love, beauty, and fertility. So, there we have the technique of symbolism as well. Right. Now, whilst the sun rests on the mountains, light thy bright torch of love. In these lines, we have run-on lines or enjambment as a technique. When the meaning runs on to the next line or the meaning is not completed until you read the next line, we call it run on line, or rather run on lines. The phrase bright torch of love is a metaphor. Can you remember we said that the star symbolizes love? So this metaphor is basically complementing that quality of the evening star. It is seen as a force that spreads love, that lights the world with love. Right? Great. Thy radiant crown put on. Put on your radiant or glowing crown and smile upon our evening bed. You can clearly see that the writer is personifying the star by using certain verbs in the form of request, such as put on the crown and smile. Smile upon whom? Smile upon our evening beds. Our evening bed rather. Mind that the bed is in the singular form. So we can assume that the writer is referring to a couple. Why? We have the words our and bed mentioned in this line. We could have assumed that this is just a general reference to people who go to bed after a tiring day of work. But mind you, we have the word bed in singular form, hinting that this could possibly be a couple, a shared bed, a single bed. But we have our plural form. Possibly this could be therefore a couple. Because if it's a general reference, the writer would probably use beds instead of bed. Okay, great. Another supporting evidence for this is the symbol of evening star itself. You know that evening star is symbolic of love, right? So basically, the poet is requesting the evening star to bless them as lovers and also help them enrich their bond, their love. If we take these 4 lines overall, they create a very elegant visual image of Venus as a goddess. An image of a beautiful angelic figure wearing a glittering crown and smiling brightly on the lovers. This is the kind of visual image generated by these lines. And we can say that the poet is trying to highlight the idea of love in these lines. Okay, great. Now it's time to revise what we learned. You can answer these questions after pausing this video. Since I don't have much time left, I'm moving on to discussing the answers now. The first one, the evening star symbolizes love, beauty and fertility. When the meaning continues to the next line, it is called run on lines or enjambment. Both answers are correct. Thy bright torch of love is a metaphor. Next one, smile upon our evening bed is an example of personification. Great. If you got these answers right, that means you are ready to continue with the rest of the poem. So let's take a look at the next few lines. Smile on our loves, and while thou drawest the blue curtains of the sky, scatter thy silver dew dusk on every flower that shut its sweet eyes in timely sleep. Let thy west wind sleep on the lake, speak silence with thy glimmering eyes. Okay, now in these lines we have the speaker using a metaphor when he says, draws the blue curtains of the sky. You can see that the fall of evening is what he means by this, the fall of the evening. He likens the fall of the evening to drawing blue curtains across the sky, because we know that when we draw curtains, we don't get much light filtered into our rooms, right? Similarly, the evening sky has a mellow blue color as a result of the fading of sunlight. Along with this beautiful natural phenomenon, we have silver colored dew beginning to settle on flowers as well. A dusk is another word for twilight or sunset. Again, the writer uses personification to describe how flowers close up as the sun goes down. This is not the process of fading or withering of flowers, mind you. It is not what he talks about. It's like taking a rest or falling asleep, similar to people who go to bed at night and then again wake up in the morning. He also uses personification, saying that flowers shut their sweet eyes, shutting their sweet eyes. right? So that is an example of personification, again giving qualities of people, humans, to non-human entities like flowers. Another interesting thing that the writer describes is the silence that falls in the evening. Everything sort of calms down, including the wind. That's why he says, "Let thy west wind sleep on the lake." Once again, he uses personification when he says, "West wind sleep," right? And the lake that used to ripple is now motionless as the wind does not make ripples on its surface. Next, he uses a very interesting oxymoron: speak, silence. Now, what is an oxymoron? When you are silent, you don't normally speak, right? Speaking is the opposite of being silent. So, when you put opposite words together like this, it's called an oxymoron. It's actually a technique, a poetic technique. What is he trying to tell us using this? To make sense of what he's trying to tell us, we need to look at the rest of the line. "Speak silence with thy glimmering eyes," he says. So the evening star speaks not using her words, but using silence and her eyes. And not just any eyes, it's glimmering eyes or shining eyes. You know that the evening star is very bright, right? So this line basically shows how it marks its presence in this world. How? By shining very brightly. That's how it basically communicates with us in this world. She doesn't have to speak a word to make her presence known, right? Just her brightness is enough. So we can also see when he says speak, he's using personification here. Speak. He's asking her to speak up, not using words but using silence and her eyes, right? Because a star normally does not speak. It's a human activity. Okay, now let's revise what we learned. Feel free to pause this video and answer the questions on this slide. Okay, now let's move on to discussing answers. The first one, blue curtains of the sky is an example of a metaphor. Blank can be seen in the line, "On every flower that shuts its sweet eyes." Personification. Personification can be seen in the line, "On every flower that shut its sweet eyes." Next one, speak silence is an example of oxymoron. Last one, thy glimmering eyes is a case of using personification. Great. Now if you got these answers right, that's a sign you are forging ahead. And now let's take a look at the last few lines of this ode. "And wash the dusk with silver, soon, full soon, dost thou withdraw. Then the wolf rages wide, and then the lion glares through the dun forest. The fleeces of our flock are covered with thine sacred dew. Protect them with thine influence." Great. We can see that the evening star is now fading little by little, because he says, "Soon, full soon, dost thou withdraw." Then what happens? Then the wolf rages wide. Raging here means that it's very angry, it's very violent. The wolf is actually a symbol of night. At the same time, it could be a symbol of danger or threat. When the evening star disappears, there's no one to protect them. They are exposed to danger. Who are these they he's talking about? It could be the speaker himself and his lover, and it could also be all the other natural fixtures like flowers and trees, and even animals like sheep. Why sheep? Because you can see there's a mention of fleeces of flock in the following lines. First of all, we can see that there's alliteration in this phrase, fleeces of flock, because we can see the repetition of fur sounds, fleeces, flock. Now fleeces is the woolly covering of the sheep, and flock is a collective noun we use to describe a group of sheep, right? And we also see that this animal is not a threat like the wolf, it is something that needs protection from the wolf. So that's why he says, "Protect them with thine influence." Whose influence? The influence of the evening star. Now we can see that Once again, he's using the evening star as a protective force, right? And if you can remember, we said that the evening star is symbolic of love, beauty, and fertility. In this case, we can also see that it is symbolic of protection. Good. We need to actually head back to look at the third line again, because we could not discuss it. There we have lion as a symbol. It says the lion glares through the dun forest. The lion glares through the dun forest. Now this is the dawn he is talking about. Dawn is the first appearance of light in the sky before sunrise. So we know that the yellowish color of the lion's mane is similar to the color of dawn. So the lion is actually therefore symbolic of dawn. Right, great. This description is highly visual, very visual. So we can even say that it generates a visual image of the night and dawn. Great, okay. Now let's revise what we learned in this section. You may pause this video once again and answer these questions on the slide. Right now, I'm going to move on to the discussion of answers. Great, the first one. The wolf symbolizes night and danger. The second one, the lion is symbolic of dawn. Third one, fleeces of our flock is an example of alliteration. The last one, the evening star is symbolic of protection as well. Great, good job everyone. You have successfully completed or analyzed yet another poem in your O-level English literature syllabus, and I hope this helped you in tying those loose ends and make sense of the poem. I hope to see you soon with another episode of O-level English Literature Poetry Corner. Until then, take care folks.